What is more American than the first son of the United States of America dating the Prince of England? Hello, everyone. I am Rainbow Hearts Villain Thoughts, and today I will be reviewing Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Now, if I'm saying that last name wrong, I'm sorry. I don't know how to say it. But what I can say is this book was one heck of a interesting read. So first off, what is this book even about? Well, it follows our main character, Alex Claremont Diaz, the first son of the United States of America, basically causing an international incident when he falls into a pretty big wedding cake at the Prince of England, Prince Harry, his older brother and heir to the throne, is wedding with Prince Henry. From there, the two are forced to be seen together, but a short time together may end up to be something more than just rivals. Rivals turn friends, turn something very much more serious. Now, this book is an adult book. I want to say that. I actually thought it was young adult when I first saw the cover and everything, but no, it is an adult book. So if you are under the age of 18, I suggest clicking off this video because it is not for you. That being said, let's get into the content warning. Now, for content warnings, this book has the following. The book itself contains heavy swearing, insinuated heated moments/scenes, homophobia, and prejudiced views towards the people of the LGBTQ plus and feared prejudice, aka the person fears people may see them as prejudice due to color of skin. While there is no racism in the book, it still is a fear of one of the main characters, so just so you know, that is in the book. Those being said, the heat warning. Now, when it came to heat in this book, I was honestly expecting more, but for this book, I would give it a 1 or 2 out of 5 flames. Meaning it's not really that heated. It's really the doors open a crack for a few seconds and then it's closed. Basically, it has heavy insinuation of what's going to happen or what did happen, but it doesn't actually take place in the book, which was very interesting, I guess, and definitely kind of leaned me more towards this book was young adult maybe until I looked it up and it said nope, it's adult. So just so you know, the heat rating isn't really that high for this book. Now, let's talk about my own personal experience real quick with reading this book. When I was reading this book, I was rather taken back by the premise itself. This is something that's never happened in actual reality before. We've never had a half Hispanic first son of the US, and we've never had the first son or first daughter or anyone who is related to the president form a relationship with a prince of a foreign nation, much less England. When I was reading this book, I honestly had an amazing time with only a slight issue that I'll get into later. I thought this book was kinda slow at first, but as time went on, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. There were moments that were kind of slower, but honestly, I mean, my experience with this book was very well, it was very pleasant, and I have not seen the show. I'll be on or movie. I have not seen the movie. I want to see it. I might see it, but I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, my personal experience with this book was it was a lovely book and I enjoyed it. But of course, you want more than just that for a review, so let's thoroughly get into it. Let's start with our characters. So while there is two characters that are in a love interest situation, only one of them is necessarily the main character, that being Alex Claremont Diaz. Alex is the first son of the United States of America, the youngest of two children, his older sister being before him, married to a divorced mother who has remarried and is the President of the United States of America. Alex's father is Hispanic while his mother is white. This is the first term of the US President, Miss Claremont, so Alex is, kind of used to being first son, but he still has a way to go in a way. Alex is this very sarcastic kind of I know what I want, or so I think, kind of character. He's very witty, very quick on his feet, quick on his toes, and he knows how to be secretive. He knows how to keep secrets, but he's also not afraid of revealing the truth to those secrets to those he loves and cares about. What drives Alex, though, as a character? He is a character who, at first, is really driven by this future dream of his. Alex really dreams about becoming a, you know, a senator. He dreams of maybe even one day becoming president himself. I'm not really sure about that last one, but I know Alex dreams of being a senator. He dreams of following his mom and dad's footsteps, both of which were senators. He wants to be a political figure. Though, as the story continues, Alex's main focal point becomes Henry, Prince Henry. He wants to be there for him, to take care of him, to love him the way he feels Henry deserves to be, even if Henry himself doesn't feel like that. Alex knows when to keep his mouth shut, I will say, but he also has very strong opinions and beliefs about certain characters in this book, including the Queen of England herself. um, and all around, I think Alex is your typical 21-year-old, as he's 21 in this book. Um, he's charismatic. He's, you know, he's a sweetheart when he wants to be. He's devious when he wants to be. Um, and it's all around. I think Alex is a very interesting and lovable character. I think people with big dreams, or people who kind of have their life already planned out, would identify a lot with Alex. Or those who are kind of in high stress situations where, if you make one false move, one bad move, it kind of might affect your family. That's really how Alex feels and acts in a certain way. Next up, Prince Henry. I said Harry, didn't I, before? It's Prince Henry. Henry is the spare prince to the British throne. Um, his full name is Prince Henry George Edward James Fox Moncriston Windsor. What a long name. He is the son of the princess, the queen's daughter, and an actor who actually was the actor for James Bond in the book. Henry is very reserved, very royalty shaped. He focuses mainly on putting on this important act of his, this belief that he is a prince, he's very prim and proper. Um he doesn't want other people to catch on that he may be something more than what he is, because he was brought up to have standards, and those standards are the standards of the crown, not necessarily his. He is a prince first, a human being second. Is kind of how Henry is brought up to be. Henry is kind of the person who starts this whole situation with the romance. Well, Alex is the first one who started the whole incident himself. Henry is kind of considered snobbish by Alex at the beginning. But the more we find out about Henry, the more interesting he is and becomes. Then, um, with Henry, I feel he is really driven by this ironclad grip on him with the royal family. He's driven to be the perfect prince, the perfect son, to be the spare. As it was said before, he's the spare of England. He's the spare prince. If something happens to his older brother, who is future king, then Henry has to step up and be the next king, even though he doesn't want that. Henry, I feel, is motivated as time goes on to also be concerned about wanting to be himself. The cracks kind of start appearing in this princely facade, and he kind of starts to realize, hey, I want Alex. I want this. I don't want to have to be the spare prince. I don't want to have to be a royal, but I kind of have no choice. Or does he? Henry, I feel, is very easily relatable to those who kind of have the situation where one thing is expected of them over who they are. He kind of represents the person who's shoved in the closet, metaphorically speaking, or to the back. You're kind of pushed down in order for your responsibility to take center stage. You might wear a mask to hide who you are, or you might just deny yourself and your own existence just to please your family, your job, your community, that sort of thing. That is definitely Prince Henry. All in all, I enjoyed both characters, but the story is primarily told third person through Alex, not first person, which was kind of weird for me. But both these characters did an amazing job showing off who they are and getting to know Prince Harry or Henry. Oh my gosh, I keep saying Harry. Prince Henry through Alex's eyes was pretty interesting and cool. Now, the pacing of this book. At first, the book was kind of slow, I feel, to start. And there were definitely moments throughout the book where I was just like, okay, can we just get to what happens next? I don't really care what what's going on in this moment. I definitely feel like pacing was a little wonky, a little weird in this book. It wasn't very oh gosh, what is the word? It was not very fluid. It wasn't very constant. It was kind of all over the place sometimes, and that was a bit of an issue for me. I'm not gonna lie, that was a bit of an issue. I struggled at certain points in this book to read it, and it wasn't until near the end that I really couldn't put the book down. That's because of the plot was really starting to thicken, and it was starting to get really juicy. But the pacing was still kind of meh until near closer to the end, in which case it really picked up. But honestly, the pacing I would say is not the best. Not gonna lie. So if you're looking for a book with good pacing, don't look at this one. This is all over the place. World building. What is the world like in this book? Now, this book takes place in 2020, I believe, which, we wish would have happened instead of COVID and the political unrest and everything that was going on in the US at the time. Um, it seems like, President Claremont, she did a pretty good job as president in the book. We don't really see much of her presidential term and stuff, but the people really love her. And Alex looks up to her as not only a mother, but also as a political figure. So that's pretty cool. Um, so that being said, I think the world building kind of could have been a little bit more clearer, a bit more interesting. It honestly felt like the book was solely the characters. It was solely dialogue. It wasn't really about the background. I think there's one part in the book, if I'm being honest, where the background kind of was there, and that was when they went to a museum that Henry had gone to when he was a little kid with his parents and older sister, and I think his older brother, or his elder brother. But that was also kind of rushed, I felt. The world building was not very big on explaining itself or kind of showing off. I feel like the author really kind of fell back on the whole this is realistic, this is modern. I don't have to describe this book. But in a couple of years, if not many years after that, people are going to read this book, hopefully. People will still know how to read. um or want to read as well, and they're not necessarily going to understand the setting of this book. Um, Possibly. And honestly, if you are in a country that is not too keen on England and the US is, everything about the two countries, and you don't really know anything about either country, then you're probably not going to get a good mental picture of the settings in this book, if I'm being completely honest, which I feel was definitely a struggle and a negative side to this book. The author really kind of, in my opinion, had this sort of reliance on people understanding the setting instead of building the setting herself. Themes! The themes of this book. Uh, one theme definitely is kind of figuring out who you are and accepting yourself for who you are. Um, and kind of being okay, I guess, with the fact that sometimes other people know who you are before you do, but they're not going to tell you who you are. And I think that's really important. Like, I think for some of us, it kind of shows before we know. what we are, who we love, how we identify, stuff like that. Even other stuff like less serious stuff. I feel like certain people can kind of notice about us before we notice it about ourselves. And that's not an issue as long as these people are respectful our of us finding out who we are as a person instead of them telling us. Because not only can this turn into a very heated, guarded discussion, but it also can come off as very rude or a know-it-all type thing if you tell someone, "Hey, you're this, you're that," because I noticed. Um, Letting the person kind of figure it out on their own in a safe way is kind of better. And later on saying, "Oh yeah, I always knew," may not may still come off as kind of know-it-all, but still, it's slightly better. Another theme of this book is traditions are lame. And that's coming from someone who personally I love tradition. I love certain things we do in my own family, but certain traditions I agree kind of need to be actually looked at. They need to actually be examined and seen if they're still plausible or if they're more damaging than positive or negative than positive. Um, in this book, we definitely see this with Henry. We see how it affects him being the prince and having all this traditional responsibility placed on him. And it really is driven home when we deal with the queen, when she comes into the picture. Um, and we can tell how it hurts Henry to kind of have to deal with this. So, definitely the theme of questioning tradition and deciding if certain tradition is still plausible or if it's more damaging and therefore needs to be revised or completely done away with is definitely a theme in this book. Enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers seems to be my current kick in my reading because I swear I just got done reading The Witch and His Crow, and before that I read Death Ball, and those were both enemies to lovers. This is an enemies to lovers. I swear. I need to read non enemies to lovers, or this trope is going to become my main trope, and I don't want that. I don't want to be the basic white boy, okay, with this trope. No thank you. Oh my gosh. But that's definitely a theme, and this is the enemies to lovers situation. We see that at the beginning where Alex kind of has this hate relationship with Henry, and Henry kind of, you know, brushes him off, you know? He brushes him off, and it's kind of like, you don't bother me, and um as it goes on, we figure out why it didn't bother Henry and how it actually did in a way. But, you know, I feel like that's a pretty big theme is the enemies to lovers trope here. And those are the themes that I noticed. Now, with that being said, what is the strengths? What is the weaknesses? I think a major strength with this book is the original storytelling. Now, obviously, having an American fall in love with British royalty is not anything new. Um, there was a film I've never seen. My mother loved it though. The Princess and the Marine, which I don't know if that was British. Hang on, let me look that up. Was that I really do not know. Uh no, she was not British. She was Bahrainian. Wow. I'm a dummy. But I'm pretty sure but having an American fall in love with foreign royalty is nothing new. But I think having the first son of the United States of America fall in love with the Prince of England personally is not something I've ever heard about or read or watched on television or the silver screen. It's not something I've ever read before. So I think the story is pretty original in certain ways. And I feel like that really builds the story up. I feel like it really builds up the story and it kind of makes it more rememberable. Excuse me. Um, apologies for that. Then, we have the political background of this book. It's not really strong, but it's strong enough to remind us, hey, this is what Alex is risking, this is what Henry's risking. You know, is this going to be worth it in the end? Are they going to end up in the end together? That's a good strength. Weakness. The point of view. I cannot get over the point of view with this book. I am not I think it's called third person limited or omnipotent limited, where it's told through the perception of one character, but it's not told in that character's voice. It's kind of told as if someone's listening to what's going on. That is the point of view in this book, and I do not like it. I am much more a first person point of view reader. I prefer to read first person or second person, maybe third person, uh, but not this. I didn't. The point of view did kind of irk me at times, and I was kind of left wondering, hey, what's going on here? I'm a little bit confused. And had to regain my bearings and remind myself this is a omnipotent limited or third person limited book that I'm reading. So another strong slash weak point, if you want to look at it that way, is this book does have a movie. It is on Amazon Prime. I don't think it was ever released on DVD, unfortunately, which seems to be kind of the thing with a lot of these streaming services. Some of their original stuff doesn't go on DVD, unfortunately, which really sucks. But apparently, there is a movie that is based off the book with the same characters, situations, everything. I have not watched it, as I said in the beginning. I haven't watched it, I haven't seen it. I might watch it. But that kind of does lead to concern of where is the popularity from this book coming from? Is it actually the book or the movie that's popular? That'd be something worth looking up. Honestly, it would be something worth looking up. Uh so yeah, that's kind of a, your choice kind of situation, I guess, if it's a positive or a negative, a strength or a weakness for this book, is having a film adaptation of Red, White, and Royal Blue. Uh, the ending was kind of open ending, I will say, which, like, we don't know what the future holds for them, which I think is kind of a positive because it reminds me of and they lived. With, you know, the end of the book is not necessarily the end of their story. I love that. Um, and for anyone wondering, yes, this book has a kind of sequel. It's a novella, which is just the correspondence between Henry and Alex. There is no full story, I don't think. There is no full on like interaction like this book. It is a novella. Um and it did come out. Hang on. I looked this up. There is a film sequel planned, apparently, if this is correct. Um, called Red, White, and Royal Wedding. I'm kind of I'm kind of peeved now. I'm kind of irritated. Um, I'm kind of irritated by this because we didn't get that with the book. That's like the film. The sequel book is okay, it's not a sequel. It's expanding the book. It's not a sequel, but it's called Red, White, and Royal Blue: The Private Correspondence. And this is a novella. It's a correspondence between the two characters. Um, I don't know how long it is. I really do not. Um, but for hardcover, it's $27.96 on Amazon. Kindle, it's $14.99 for a novella. How many chapters is this? Your goodness grief. Um, chapters. I mean pages. Oh my gosh. Um. Oh, it's not out yet. I'm sorry. I said it was out. It comes out December 1st. So this December is when this book has intentions of coming out. And it's going to be 304 pages long. Um, that's interesting, but yeah, it's the correspondence between the two. And it comes out this December 2026, the 1st. The cover is nice. The cover is really nice. It's very posh. I would say it's very posh, more definitely more sophisticated compared to the first book. I can't get over the royal wedding. What is this? Why didn't we get this as a book? I'm a little peeved, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Um but anyway, there's a little information there for you. Um correspondence could be a correspondence, and the sequel film could be a strength for Red, White, and Royal Blue, the book, because people will be going back and reading Red, White, and Royal Blue, or they'll be going and reading the book for the first time. Hopefully, with the sequel film, they may actually just go back to the first film. Um, but we do have that small possibility of people coming to the first book, to Red and White and Royal Blue, rereading or reading it for the first time to compare it to the movie, or to reread it in anticipation for the private correspondence book. So there's a strength, I guess, and kind of a weakness in a way. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Target audience. Who is the target audience with this book? Um, I think the target audience for this book is definitely adults who enjoy books that are more about discovering yourself and are more so interested in books that kind of go against the status quo. I think it's interesting to read a book about a 21-year-old discovering who they are because that's something I feel we kind of misunderstand as human beings is we're constantly changing, we are constantly discovering new things about ourselves. And having a book that features an adult doing that is very interesting. Mind you, 21's not that old adult wise, but it's still interesting. Um I really like that. I think the target audience will also enjoy that. If you also like a bit of American and British squabbling and kind of shade or whatever being thrown at each other, I think you'll enjoy this book. I think that you'll be the target audience for this book, definitely. Um, if you're looking for a book that is heavy on heat, you won't like this book. A book that has massive depth to side characters, I don't think you'll like this book. They're there, they have depth, but it's not that deep. If you are someone who does not like interracial relationships, you will not like this book at all. I am just saying. I put that out there because I know some people are still like that, are still conservative in that situation. So I want to point that out here. You will not enjoy this book. It'll be a very uncomfortable read for you. And obviously, if you're not into gay romance, I mean, that not only is this book not going to be for you, but my channel itself probably is not going to be for you either. And you've stumbled on a very weird, strange place you probably want to get out of. um, all that being said, would I go as far as to recommend this book? I think yes. I think I would happily recommend Red, White, and Royal Blue. It is an amazing book. I think the writing was really good if the point of view was kind of bad. Uh I think that the characters were well developed. They were well made. I think certain things were kind of skimmed over that were said in the book that I wish would have been played on more. But I would definitely recommend this book. This is a book that I would recommend. Um, it's a wonderful piece of literature. It's definitely not anything worthy of, status of a classic novel, nothing like that. But it's a modern love story between an American and a royalty of a foreign country. So that's the kind of thing I think you'll enjoy it. And, you know, pick up the book if you can. Um, Now my rating. I have to give this book a 4.5 out of 5 Rainbow Hearts. This book was interesting. It was good, but I feel like there were parts of it that were kind of lacking, as I've said. Um, and because of that, I cannot give it more than a 4.5 rating. But that's still pretty good. So, yeah. 4.5 would recommend just a good read, all in all. Alright, so that's going to be it for this review. I'm sorry if it was a bit choppy and all over the place. I kinda liked, though, the part where I kinda went off topic a little bit and talked more smoothly. Let me know if that's something you would like to see in later videos. Um, that's something you wanna see and hear more often is that more smooth form of talking. That's not just these kind of slides. And if that's the case, let me know what you want to see physically on the screen when I do that. I would love to know. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to let me know down below if this book is a must read, a book you loved, a not gonna read, or a book you hated. And let me know why without giving spoilers to your fellow readers, of course. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. And I will see you next time. The next book I'm going to be reviewing is Boyfriend Material, which I'm almost done with. And I gotta say, this book is adorable. I didn't like it at first, but it's growing on me. And yeah, next week I'll be talking about that. So see you later. Stay cozy, stay happy, and keep reading. Bye.